Okay. I'm not sure if I got the question exactly right, but maybe someone who knows the question can let me know if the question I'm asking is correct, or at least close. What's the connection between ASMY, Australian School of Meditation, and yoga, and Krishna, or the Krishnas? Is that, those who know the question, is that about right? So is it Krishna or the Krishnas? Krishna, okay. That's a really nice question, because we get to speak a little bit about Krishna. So, first of all, let's have a little bit of an understanding of what yoga is. So what's the connection between Australian School of Meditation and yoga and Krishna? So what is generally understood as the word yoga is putting your body into some kind of asana, some kind of twisty. It's like a pretzel, right? Usually you think of yoga, you think of pretzels. You know, and some pretzels are pretty simple and some are really got just knots in them and everything like that. So generally in the West, this is the concept of yoga, is pretzels or twisties. You know those packet of twisties you get? You know, they're called twisties, you know. And if someone asks, if you say to someone that you're a yoga teacher and they say, oh, can you show me some? Can you show me some yoga? I'll show you some yoga. I don't seem to have any with me. Well, usually what they mean is, you know, can you stand on your head? Can you do a shoulder stand? Can you do the scorpion? Can you do all these kind of things, right? But yoga, the word yoga, actually means to link up, to connect. To link up or to connect. And it also actually means relationship. The word, like the English word to yoke, you know? When they yoke, they used to have these things called a yoke, like bullocks or something like that. They would put them together. They had this wooden thing, and the bullocks would be connected through this apparatus called a yoke. So yoke means to connect one or more, you know, two or more things together. So the very word yoga gives us a clue. It actually means the connection or the relationship between the individual Atma, the individual soul, the individual person, and the Supreme Soul, or the Param Atma. Atma means the real self, the true self, who is different from the material body and who is different from the ever-changing mind, who is actually an eternal living being. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that for the living being there is never birth nor death. For the living being never ceases to exist. The living being is ever existing and undying. So we are that Atma. It isn't like we have a soul or we have an Atma. We are the Atma, we are the soul, we are the spiritual personality who is eternal, and we are temporarily walking around in a material body. And death means that when I, the eternal self, leave the material body, there is no more animation in the material body, because the loving, living entity, me, you, I have left the body. So yoga is to do, ultimately with that relationship between that eternal Atma and the supreme eternal Atma, or the Paramatma. But of course there are many branches too in yoga, beginning with, yoga asanas, different pranayams, different meditations, diet, lifestyle. It's a whole approach to physical, mental, and ultimately spiritual well-being. This is what the whole system of yoga is all about. So at ASMY, we try our best to try to share the whole system of yoga. So that's why we don't just have asanas, or just have meditation, or just have kirtan, or just have spiritual discussion. Because, we understand and practice ourselves this approach to the yoga system, a lifestyle. But ultimately, this is the aim. Even the yoga asanas, the dietary guidelines, the breathing exercises, all of these things are ultimately meant to help the person climb this ladder of yoga, so to speak, to achieve the pinnacle or the goal of yoga, which is an eternal loving connection or union with the Supreme Soul or God. It's not a very popular word these days, God, because there's so many negative connotations on what, maybe how we were brought up and how it's portrayed and things like that. So that is the ultimate goal of yoga, and this is what we are trying to pass on at the Australian School of Meditation and Yoga through the various practices and processes that we practice ourselves and we teach others. So now we come to the question, well, who is Krishna? Because we are chanting Krishna, we have a picture of Krishna. My name is Radha Krishna Das. So there is obviously a connection between ASMY and Krishna. So let us first of all have a little bit of an understanding of the Supreme Soul, or God. In the yogic or Vedic Shastras, or sacred text, it is understood that when God is spoken of, and when we're talking about Krishna, we are talking about God. That the definition of God is the original cause, or the cause of all causes. So please just consider that for a moment. The original cause, or the cause of all causes. So everything has a cause. This building, why it's so beautiful, there was a cause, because there was a desire, there was people who were involved, and now it's come about because of there was a cause for it, right? So everything. You trace everything back, there is a cause for everything. So Krishna is the supreme original cause of all causes. Krishna does not mean a Hindu god or a Buddhist god or a Christian god or anything limited or sectarian or of any particular religion or race or nationality. Krishna means the original cause of all causes, that from whom everything and everyone emanates. Is that clear? Is that easy to understand? So we are all part of that original cause. Every single living being is part of the original cause, has come from the original cause. Right? Any questions on that so far? Is that clear enough, what I've been saying at least? So that original cause, or the Supreme Soul, the Paramatma, God, is known by many, 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 many different names. Unlimited names. Unlimited, literally uncountable different names in different cultures, different sacred scriptural texts, in different spiritual paths, because of the unlimited qualities and nature of the original cause. Some people refer to the Supreme Soul by different names like Allah. Now, I'm not in any way an expert on this, but generally my understanding is that Allah means all compassionate. That the Supreme Soul is all compassionate. Therefore, Allah is a name for that one original cause or Supreme Soul, because this is a quality of the Supreme, full of compassion. Yeah? In the Christian Bible, Christ referred to God by different names, including like Abba, which means father. He referred to his father by the name Abba. There's different names in there, Eloi, El Shaddai, different names of the Supreme. God is the rock of my life. So these are different names that refer to different relationships and different qualities and different eternal spiritual pastimes of that one original cause of all causes. So we should clearly understand that there can only be one original cause of all causes. There cannot be many by definition. So it isn't like there is a competition where am I going to follow the Christian God or the Hindu God or the Muslim God or the Zoroastrian God or the God of the Greeks or anything like that. Yoga teaching is very, very clear. There is one original cause. And one of the names, and one of the most beautiful names of that original cause of all causes is Krishna. Because the name Krishna means all attractive, all beautiful, all wise, all loving, all knowing. So therefore, this name Krishna is actually very sweet. Have any of you experienced it's nice to chant Krishna's names? Do any of you like it? Or do you hate it? I don't think you'd be here if you hated it. And we wouldn't be doing it week in, week out if we hated it either. So, we are pleasure-seeking by nature, are we not? Do you not seek out in your life? Do you not go to places and have relationships with different people and eat certain kind of food and wear certain colour clothing or types of clothing because it brings you a certain amount of pleasure? Is that not true? We're all seeking pleasure. So we are pleasure-seeking living beings. That is our nature. So we're like a honeybee seeking out the nectar. And sometimes we mistake some dog shit for being something sweet. And we might kind of dip our little nose in there for a little while. And then we'll kind of go and we don't kind of keep coming back to that same lump, right? Because there's no nectar there. So similarly in life, we're like these honeybees just kind of floating around, trying it. What's that? No. Something there. So, we try different things in life because we'll find some kind of nectar. But the nectar of this world, of the material energy, is limited. It is temporary and it doesn't satisfy fully. There's just a little taste there and then, it kind of runs out, This doesn't continue to become nicer and nicer. It means we have to move on to something else. So Krishna means the highest pleasure, the highest beauty, the highest love, the highest happiness. In the Maha Mantra we have Hare Krishna and we have Hare Rama. So this name Rama is also a name referring to that one original cause of all causes. And it means the Supreme Soul is the reservoir or the source of all pleasure and happiness. All pleasure and all happiness originates and comes from the Supreme Soul. So therefore, the Supreme, original cause of all causes, is known as Rama, also the reservoir of the source of all pleasure. So in the same way, we might go to a restaurant because, we heard the food's good there. We might go and see a movie. There's different things we go to because we've heard and we hope there may be some pleasure there, yeah? If the food's shit, well, I'm not going to go there, right? We'll seek something else out. So as I said, we are nectar-seeking, pleasure-seeking, ananda-seeking beings. So we understand that let's go to the reservoir or the unlimited source of all pleasure, then we will be satisfied. Not just a little drop or a little taste of pleasure or happiness, but if we are in touch with the reservoir or the source of unlimited pleasure and happiness, then we also will be satisfied. That's easy to understand, isn't it? So when we are speaking about, and the connection between Krishna and ASMY is that we are nectar-seeking people. We are pleasure-seeking people. And the highest pleasure that exists is when we are in loving union with the cause of all causes, the Supreme Soul. And the nature of that connection is loving devotion, relationship. So, I've kind of made this example numerous times, but it's still true. We are a dating agency. That's actually what ASMY is. We're a dating agency. Because we want to introduce you to your best friend. We want to introduce you to your soulmate. We want to introduce you to someone who will never let you down. Someone who will actually satisfy your deepest need for love. That is the original cause. That is the Supreme Soul. So we're trying to introduce you, and we ourselves are trying to deepen and cultivate our love and our devotion and our relationship with that original Supreme Soul. So does that answer a little bit? I know there's many other things we could speak about, but maybe I took a few notes from a talk given by my spiritual master. It was literally just copy-paste and threw a few things into this document, so it's maybe not even necessarily in order or anything, but let me read, and I think this will help. When we speak of Krishna, we are not speaking of a foreign person. We are not speaking of somebody with whom we don't already have a relationship. We're not speaking of a Hindu god or a Christian god, a Buddhist god or a Muslim god. When we speak of Krishna, we are speaking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the original person. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am the goal, I am the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation. I am the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. I am the seed-giving father of all living beings. All living beings, not Hindus, not Chinese, not Australian, all living beings. Krishna is the original father of ourselves and everything else. Krishna is the origin of each and every one of us. Krishna is our father, our mother, our refuge, our support, and our most dear friend. Krishna is the perfect friend. Krishna's love is so complete, so unconditional, that he loves us even if we do not love him. Because each of us is an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, our natural function is to engage in his loving service. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives us his transcendental instruction on how we can do so. So now I'll read some quotes from Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all of their heart. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they come to me. Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So this is Krishna. Krishna is our most dear friend. Krishna is our shelter. Krishna is our refuge. So the connection between ASMY and Krishna is the same connection that every single living being has with Krishna, or the original cause, the Supreme Soul. We are all part of Krishna. We come from Krishna, as everything and everyone does. And the loneliness and emptiness that we experience as we are traveling through this life is directly connected because we are away from our dearmost friend. We are away from the perfect friend. And these feelings of emptiness, of loneliness, is actually a symptom. It's a symptom. It's like, when you have a high temperature or you have, different aches and pains and things like that. They are not a disease in and of themselves. They point to there is something wrong. There is something amiss in your health. So all of these things that we experience in life, from fear, anxiety, depression, worries about the future and the past, and etc., all of these are symptoms that are actually meant to help us, to motivate us, so that we actually find a solution to the problem. And the solution is when we are in loving connection with the divine, with the Supreme, then all of the troubles within our heart and mind actually gradually become ameliorated. Is that the right word? Satisfied. So kirtan is that means by which we can directly link up with and experience the presence of the original cause, the cause of all causes, Krishna or God. Because there is no difference between the holy name of Krishna and Krishna. So all of the unconditional love, the whole spiritual world. In fact, my spiritual teacher has explained in harmony with yoga text that the whole of the Bhagavad Gita, the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, is to be found in the Mahamantra. So when we chant this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, contained within that mantra is everything and everyone, and spiritual love and the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita and what we are looking for and who we are looking for. Because transcendental sound is different than material sound. And these names of the Supreme, of whatever form we are singing, actually bring us closer and closer in our loving devotional relationship with the original cause. So we're not also, it's important to understand that we are not saying that Krishna is the only name of God or Govinda is the only name of God. In fact, it is described very clearly by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, "Oh my Lord, you have hundreds and millions of names. Hundreds and millions of names like Krishna, Govinda, etc. And you have invested all of your spiritual energy and potency in your holy names." So all of the names of the Supreme are transcendental and have spiritual potency. But we are specifically and particularly attracted to these different names that we are chanting in kirtan as we have received through disciplic succession, through our line of teachers, originating with Krishna himself, that these names are the most sweet and the most beautiful. And so this is why we are like the honeybee. You know, like there are different names of the Supreme that are more formal. And there's a bit of fear and awe and, you know, don't send me to hell kind of connotation to certain names of God, like the name God. Have you got any friends with the name God? Probably not. Because even the name itself is kind of like, "Yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir. You know, what do you want me to do, sir?" Right? There's a certain kind of like a little bit of fear in there as well, right? But Krishna, no, it's not there. So this is the most intimate and sweet name of that original cause of all causes. And the more we hear and chant these beautiful names of the Supreme, then the more we will come to realize this. That's probably enough. I was going to go into another thing. We can save it for another time. So I hope that answered the question, kind of, at least begun to answer the question. We are all related to Krishna, not just ASMY. Whether we're ASMY or non-ASMY, it doesn't matter. We are all part and parcel of Krishna, and we all have an eternal relationship with Krishna. And to cultivate and to experience that loving union is actually the goal and the purpose of life. Thank you very much.